Hey guys, welcome back to Jason's Disturbing Experiences, episode 1.6. Episode 1.6 is a psychological corduroy slide. That's the title. It is 8:48 on Sunday, August 15th, 2021. This episode today is very funny because it ties in getting in trouble to getting applause. Let me explain some of this stuff first. A couple guests we have here today. One of the most feared creatures in the history of Earth, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. He has a little bit to do with the story. And Frankenstein here has nothing to do with the story. But I'm going to use this to resemble myself for the psychiatric corduroy slide. So picture this. This is me as a kid. For those of you that know what corduroy pants are, wearing corduroy pants. Here's a floor in a school, because the floors in school were so slick because they buff them out and everything. And as you know, corduroy slides well across that. So picture a desk being here, me at 6 or 7 years old, sliding on the floor to my desk. You can imagine how bad that would irritate a teacher. So this episode of Psychiatric Corduroy Slide was because of that. I was this kid who always looked out the window, always drawing pictures, pretty good pictures by the way, of dinosaurs and monsters and things that I liked. Cars and whatever else, you know what I mean? So, and superhero characters that I'd create. I used to like to draw those too. And all the other kids liked it. But that's all I had to get attention from the other kids, except for this psychiatric corduroy slide. And I put psychiatric on it because I'll tell you that in a second. So I'd be sliding to my desk. I noticed how smooth the floors were. I'd run full speed in the hallway, hit the floor and slide. So I got a lot of other kids to do it too because it was fun. Well, the teacher said, stop, don't do that anymore. All the other kids listened. I still did it when I thought that she wasn't looking. And she was looking more often than I expected, you know what I mean? Because you look around, or suspected. You look around, you didn't see her, hey, this is a good time to slide. So from an adult's point of view, being her, looking back on that 6 or 7-year-old kid, after you tell somebody 6 to 10 times, you know what I mean, you make them stand out in the hall, you give them extra assignments, you had to write on a piece of paper back then, like 100 times, I will not slide to my desk, or I will not interrupt the other students in the class. That's what I had to do. So that didn't work. So I started to get notes being sent home and that my dad had to sign. So I knew how to draw pretty well, so I'd forge my father's name and bring him back to the school. Well, after a while, I think after 1 or 2 notes going home, they called my parents. And I was in a lot of trouble and I had to go see the school psychiatrist for sliding to my desk. Well, she was a nice lady. She sat down with me, and when I was talking to her, like I did with my teachers back then, all I heard was what I wanted to hear. And she told me to draw a picture of how I felt. I guess that was like an icebreaker with her, so she could see where I was at. She goes, Jason, I want to know how you feel. So I'm going to have you, I've got you a piece of paper. It was a big rolled up piece of paper, good quality construction type of paper, which I liked because I like to draw. And she gave it to me. And it was already, had been rolled, so it kept rolling up. So at home, when I used it, I had to flatten it out, you know, and lay on the floor and do my drawing. So she told me what she wanted to see. She goes, I want you to draw how you feel and to bring it back to me on Monday. Excuse me. So I did that. That weekend, I drew with colored pencils, magic markers. I drew this elaborate drawing of creatures like this, Tyrannosaurus Rexes. I had Triceratops, the Stegosauruses in the picture. You had pterodactyls flying around. You had the necks of like brontosauruses and brachiosauruses. I think way in the background there was a Diplodocus or Diplodocus, whatever his name was, because he was like one of the longest dinosaurs back then. But I loved dinosaurs as a kid. I knew what they did, what they ate, how heavy they were. But I didn't know much about my schoolwork because I really didn't pay attention. So long story short, when she said drawing, clink, I went right to dinosaurs. I drew this elaborate drawing of all these guys destroying a city. There was people falling out of buildings, people hanging out of dinosaurs' mouths. Didn't matter if they were plant eaters or meat eaters, like this guy was a meat eater. Didn't matter. What mattered was that I gave her the psychiatrist of the school, a quality drawing. So my parents had saw me doing this, and they're like, is that what she asked for? Is that what she wanted you to do? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's what she said. That's not what she said. So actually, I think the parents' part came in afterwards. They didn't even know I was seeing her. I think after I got the note, forged the notes and things like that, and sent them back to school, I think they came in afterwards. That's because I was in a lot of trouble. Punishment, no bicycle. I don't think I could watch, like, cartoons or something for a while. Couldn't go out of the house for like 2 weeks. And I had to really focus on schoolwork that I hadn't been doing because I was drawing a lot. So I bring in this elaborate drawing, and she looked at it, and, picture, you're a psychiatrist or a psychologist, whatever she was, and she's asking this kid to tell me how you feel. And I'm showing, like, blood gushing out of the dinosaur's mouth. He's eating people falling out of buildings and everything I had said before. She was like, oh my God. Oh my God. When she said, oh my God, I was like, wow, she likes it. She likes it. And, an adult likes my drawings, another adult. She's like, this is how you feel, Jason? You really feel like this? I was like, no. I said, you asked me to draw a picture of dinosaurs. So that all ended up passing, my parents were, pretty mad about everything after a while, and my grades kind of sort of went up a bit. I stopped sliding to my desk, hence the title of the story, Psychiatric Corduroy Slide. Didn't slide to my desk anymore. Stopped being a disturbance, and the second grade eventually ended. Now, I want to take this story from 1982 that I just described, Psychiatric Corduroy Slide, me being that kid, all the way to 2001 when I started my bachelor's degree. Now, I already had my bachelor's degree program that I went to in Indiana. You had to have an associate's in order to go to it. Because, I know you always have to have an associate's before you start a bachelor's degree, or at least 60 to 64 credits. I'm talking about this as being an adult learning bachelor's degree, where you go like 2 to 3 nights a week for 18 months. You have to have the 60 to 64 credits prior to for entrance into it, so on and so forth. Well, this is a pretty cool program. It was set up through a big college out there, but for military members. Anybody could go. Well, we got like a massive discount. Plus, you got your GI Bill and everything else while you went, so it was pretty cool. So I'm in a class here. We all already have associate's degree. I think I was a staff sergeant at the time, and there was E7s in the class, which, for people who don't know military ranks, sergeant first class. We had a master sergeant in the class, and we had a couple of E5s, which were like in the rank below the rank I was, staff sergeant. But we didn't use rank or anything in the class. Everybody was Tom, Bill, Judy, whatever it was. So we're in this class, and one of the classes was like either a management class or a leadership class. I can't remember exactly. But they passed out pieces of paper, your regular 8x10 printer paper. And they asked to draw your leadership style. Well, here I am now in 2001 in this class. I'm not the kid anymore from 1982 who had the dinosaur drawing that shocked the psychiatrist or psychologist. They asked to draw your leadership style. So listen to this. That drawing as a kid was shocking. That's how you feel? For a leadership style, I didn't draw the same drawing, but I used all the types of dinosaurs, drew it really fast because we had like, I think, a minute and a half to do it. And then the teacher went around the room. You had to stand up, say, I'm Bill Dirty Cup. I've been in the military for 8 years. I have associates from here. This is what I'm looking to get out of this program, and this is my leadership style, whatever you wanted to say. Is an introductory. So when they got to me, so here's the class here, how it was set up. You're the teacher. Here's one row, and my chest is the back row, okay? So here I am, sitting in the back row, about 15, 16 of us. When they went around the room, they got to me, I stood up with my dinosaur picture. And I told my tale. I didn't say anything about 1982 yet in the second grade. But when I told my tale of my leadership style, which I just kind of drew it up, I just kind of put it out there, I don't know. Leadership style, the class clapped and laughed in a positive way. Teacher loved it, scratched his chin. Or she, I think, it was a he in that class, scratched his chin. He couldn't believe it. He goes, of all the times I've used this as an introductory on day one, I've never seen anything so interesting before. Everybody liked it, the whole class. They clapped for it, for God's sakes. I drew it so quickly, and for my explanation. And then I said, can I add something to that real quick? I don't want to waste your time. He goes, of course. This is day one. They're trying to get everybody together. Because a lot of our projects in that class were together. because I was building toward grad school that I just never ended up going to. I think I went to day one of grad school and I dropped out and never went back. I just didn't want to do it. It just seemed like it was the same program but bigger, and I don't need it bigger because I already know what to do, so I never went. So I did get the bachelor's degree. So here I am in this class, did my explanation, everybody liked it, and I said, can I add to it? Oh, of course you can. When I added to it, I told that story. The story of that kid doing the psychiatric corduroy slide, sliding to his desk, getting in trouble, drawing a picture of the dinosaurs, destroying the city, not realizing it was a drawing of how I was supposed to have felt and not, you know what I mean, of not what I just wanted to draw. And I used a similar drawing now, and I told them, just like I'm telling you guys, that same story, that back then I was being looked at to see a psychiatrist, but now it's brilliance. Weird, very weird how the same thing can have two different meanings because of the context, where you're at in your brain, the person that's perceiving it. There was a lot going on there, and I just think it's funny. Because when I told that of how they reacted then and then how this class reacted now, oh, everybody laughed. It was funny. It was a real good icebreaker. And the program was cool. It was an 18-month program to get your degree. So, I got all that stuff done. The psychiatric corduroy sliding to my desk didn't ruin my entire life. So I ended up, going on in life and not doing too bad. I still like drawing dinosaurs sometimes. Not as often as I did back then. But I hope you got something out of this episode, because if a kid ever watches this episode, or a teenager or something like that, and you're troubled, or you have troubles, or... I was a kid that didn't know how to get through. I was like, I had big buck teeth with a space in the middle. You could almost fit your finger in there. I had, this thick hair and a thin neck, so it looked like my head was this big. I looked like the Joker in the new movie. And it was just tough. I didn't do good in school, couldn't pay attention. All I had was telling jokes that were sometimes entertaining and drawing pictures. And my corduroy sliding to the desk. That was probably the worst of the three because, drawing pictures is a positive thing as long as you're drawing pictures that aren't hurting anybody's feelings, people can get something out of it that's positive. But the slide was disruptive, even though it was fun. And I learned my lesson as a kid, and I went on in my life. Hey, you got the slap on the wrist, as they say, and you go forward. But it's just funny how something back then as a kid, you remembered the picture, I brought it up, regurgitated it that quickly, drew, something probably not as good as I did in the second grade, that quick on the small piece of paper, and something that was a negative became a positive later in life. So another thing I want to add, and I want to talk your ear off here, you never know what you're going to regurgitate or use throughout your life. You might have something that's so small that you did. You might have gone to a class for an hour or had an experience or something. You're like, geez, that was a waste of time. Nothing's a waste of time. You don't know what you're going to use in the future. You never know who you're going to run into, what situation you're going to be in. You don't know if what you talked about then is going to affect you now or vice versa. So, this episode, guys, Jason's Disturbing Experience, a psychiatric corduroy slide, episode 1.6, August 15th, 2021. I hope you enjoyed it. And if I don't talk to you guys between now and October, in October I do a four short films a year. This year every Halloween I do one, of course, my favorite holiday. This year I got a really cool Halloween one coming out. I'll give you the name up front. It's called Bludgeoned. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And tune in for my films. More episodes of this. The Jason J. Tavares Show for Right Brand Entertainers is also very interesting. That aired, from 2016 to 2017. That's on the Jason J. Tavares YouTube channel as well. And I will see you soon with another episode. I hope you have a very nice remainder to your weekend. And remember that everything that you do has a consequence. And it can not always be a bad consequence. It can be a good consequence. So keep trying, keep pushing, keep enjoying your life. Everything's an experience. And try to help other people along the way. And I don't have any more lectures. I got to go because my throat's kind of sore and I got to brush my teeth still. And I got to go cut the grass. So I'll talk to you guys. Bye.